This is some lovely incense that my friends made when we were in NorCal in Trinity County. Made it from a bunch of pieces of stuffs and things. My favorite ingredient that's in it, though, is really extremely old redwood. I've literally had this for years. For fucking years, and I'm honestly shocked that I still have some, but this is my grounding smoke stuff, so yay! And today we're gonna have a little paint session. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our paint session. I realize that the lighting is not necessarily the best, but it is better lighting than some of my videos in the past, so yeah, today we are doing something different because this is actually my second video that I've taken today, and I just felt really inspired to talk about some shit. Surprise, surprise! I am going to pick out my paints before I start, and then I guess I am going to have to be holding this mic while I also paint, and hopefully the sound comes out well. We shall see. I think I sometimes use too much paint, but nobody's here to tell me that other than myself, so I'm not. We're gonna just ignore that I said that. How much black left? Okay. So I wanted to work with mainly some blue and greens because I was meditating on some stuff earlier and I could feel it in my throat and my heart. Like, perhaps some of you will relate to this if you are on your own type of healing journey, but I sometimes when I feel emotion, I feel it very heavily, as if it feels like a, a force. Like, I can feel like the block inside of myself, and I can feel where that energy and that emotion has been distributed inside of my body, where my energetic field is actually holding that. And what kind of inspired this was I watched this video on YouTube. One of the channels that I'm subscribed to, her name is Hitomi. I do not remember her last name that's on that, but I will actually link the video in the description if you do want to check this out. She is actually a very widely watched YouTuber. She has over 1 million followers, like one of my absolute favorites to watch, but she made this video about an ayahuasca journey, and she started it off with telling kind of what she was going through at that time, and how she had lost a friend. And it hit me hard, and I just kind of started bawling my eyes out, because that is one of the things that I personally have been going through, is a separation with my best friend. And it has been very re-triggering to old wounds, abandonment wounds, and I've lost a lot of friends, a lot of best friends over the years, and it just hit really hard to feel very deeply rejected and really unsafe all of a sudden with somebody that had given me that safe space for a long time. And it started off with that, and then the further in that I watched the video, one of the things that they talked about in this healing ceremony was about how our pain from the past sometimes controls our present, and you're no longer being hurt. You are no longer being abandoned. You are, and perhaps this relationship wound that I'm going through, it feels that way. At the same time, the deeper wound that it's triggering stems from my relationship with my parents and my childhood wounds, that I'm no longer going through that right now, but it feels so heavily as if I'm back there again. The woman that administered the ceremony is a healer, and she said when she went on her own ayahuasca journey, it showed her that these people are no longer hurting you. You're hurting yourself. And soon after that, another video popped up, and it was just, it felt very self empowering and uplifting. And as I was scrolling more, I saw a little post, and I wrote this down to share with you guys. And it said, "What if you no longer identified with the story that caused your pain? And what if you no longer let your circumstances create your identity or your reality?" And I just started feeling this intense, overwhelming energy within my throat, in my heart chakra. And I could just feel this, like, oh man, like I would start to cry, and then it would feel like it was just like being stuffed down. And I can feel where this wound is in it. And I think it is a deep rejection wound, as well as I think it connects to what I'm actually speaking over my life now, and my connection to the past actually controlling my present. And I realized that after I went through this separation that is very recent with my best friend, I basically just entered into a dark hole. And I'd already kind of been in a space of starting to push everybody away, but it just amplified immensely after that. And watching these videos today and reading that stuff just made me realize that I cannot let one discouraging happening, and discouraging happenings from my past, from my childhood, to keep me from opening my heart now to the beautiful possibilities with people. At the same time, I absolutely acknowledge that, yes, I want to continue being safe. Oh my god, these merged together and they look so fucking funky and cool. So while, yes, I want to be safe and pay attention to who I surround myself with, it's actually kind of funny because very recently, and I don't know where these new friendship relationships will go, but the universe has very recently connected me with some people that I just consistently feel really beautiful energy from. And I realized that I perhaps lost somebody and separated from somebody that made me feel unsafe. But what about the possibilities if I keep my heart open? If I keep my heart open through all of this, and I let these people in and I give them a chance, what if it's even better than that relationship was? And it's not a matter of comparison either, because I feel like every relationship has its own aspects and beautiful points. And you're never going to love the same people again, and perhaps never love in the same ways again. But I also will say that, like, my relationships from when I was in high school and such, I'm so grateful that they're not a part of my life. And if they are ever watching this video, I don't mean any hate towards you, but I also just look at the relationships that I've created since then, and I think that they are just so much more beautiful and full of life and healing and acceptance than those relationships actually had. And it's not to say that those people perhaps haven't grown and changed and become those types of people, but I do recognize that every time that I let somebody go, it hurts. And it hurts like fucking hell. And I just can see how much distrust I create in that. Or perhaps it's just distrust rising old fucking shit that's amplifying. And I feel like it's proving to me, oh, that perhaps these relationships aren't worth it. Loving people isn't worth it. Whatever that might be for each person. I think a lot of people relate to that. But what if it is worth it? What if letting go of those old happenings is worth it? What if it's worth letting new people into your life? That doesn't always mean it's going to be easy. Sometimes it might be, though. Like, I just. There is a part of me that feels so courageous to continue loving right now, despite all the pain that I feel. Where I'm like, I can't give up. I can't give up on love. I can't give up on the possibilities. of good things happening for me. I can't give up on the universe surprising me with more healthy relationships. I see this especially in like my struggle with romance, romance and dating, which somebody did ask. I'm sorry, I do not remember your name on here, but somebody did ask for me to make a video on what it is like dating as an alternative female. And I would actually love to do that, but for now, I'm not going to go into extreme details about what it's actually like. I have made a video about that in the past, and I actually ended up deleting it. I think that I just started to feel insecure about it in some ways. But I feel like many people, perhaps many people even watching this right now, have struggled with deep rejection wounds and abandonment wounds and just hurts around love. And I'm talking specifically about romance, although I think it also definitely deeply applies to other forms of relationships. I don't think I've been in a relationship for about 4 or 5 years, and I'm not coming on here, guys, to talk shit about my exes. I will say this, that my first relationship was very abusive and extremely toxic, and that relationship lasted a couple years. The other two relationships, like actual official relationships I've been in, were very, very short lived. And I'm not going to say anything bad about those men because while there were aspects that I did not like and that really hurt my heart, they were both absolutely beautiful men with really good hearts. And there are other relationships that I've had that, like situationships. Oh god, those are my least favorite of all, I swear to god. I think that my long situationship, that I don't even necessarily call it a situationship sometimes, I don't even fucking know what it was probably one of the most hurtful relationships that I was ever in. And you carry these deep fucking wounds from these things. And these ideas that it's never going to get better. Even if you can see in certain relationships ways that they have improved from old relationships, I feel like that there's this deep-seated fear in so many people around loving and letting love in again because it hurts when it doesn't work out. And I look for very specific dynamics in all of my relationships that make me very picky about the people that I let in my life. And I think that also, like, I don't think that you should put yourself down for having trust issues or struggling to let people in or reclusing or even being afraid of people or having social anxiety, which are all things that I struggle with. Sometimes we do go through periods where separating ourselves from the people around us might actually be healthy, other times where it might not be. I want to believe that by letting go of the relationships in my life that perhaps have toxic elements or that just no longer fit right, that the universe is going to bring stuff in that does. What if it's better than you expect? What if it's more magical than you expect? I don't really know what the fuck I'm drawing, guys. I honestly never do. Sometimes I really don't care for what I paint, but I'm just enjoying creating in this moment. I would love to prove to myself that I am capable of loving deeply again and greater than I have before. I haven't really let that many people in like especially a romantic aspect in a long time. And that's not to say that I haven't fallen in love with people. I definitely am a lover. I'm definitely a lover, guys. There are some magical people that I felt really beautiful and deep connections with. And I gotta acknowledge that. I think I needed those videos to realize what I was even doing. And I feel this again in my heart right now that it's this like It's this deep hurt. It's a deep fear. What if you no longer identified with the story that caused your pain? What if I stopped thinking to myself that people aren't trustworthy? What if I stopped thinking to myself that everyone was going to leave and I just am not able to find what is right for me, and then I'm just going to be abused and hurt and have my sensitivity looked down upon by anyone and everyone? What if that's a lie? What if that's all just a big lie based on an old trauma, on an old hurt that I'm just carrying around with myself, almost selfishly? What if there is something so much better? What if there is a love for me? What if somebody compatible actually exists? What if I can have long term friends? The crazy thing, too, like for me personally, about still identifying with this old story that is so deeply rooted in family trauma, family pain, for me, is that I grew up and it was kind of each man for himself in a lot of ways. There was a lot of separation, a lot of brokenness within my family. And yet now, while I'm not close to every person in my family, I am kind of estranged to one of the people currently. But my family has become my safe space. The very people that all that trauma is rooted in have become my safe space. And not everybody in that mix for sure. I think that the mother wound that I deal with is one that perhaps is going to take a lot more time to work on and heal. But I look at it now and I'm like, I'm carrying all this around. When I've already healed so much from it, why am I still holding on to that? Why am I letting every time I experience a heartbreak be the proof that people don't stay, that I'm not loved and accepted? Some people stay. And I really do, and I realize that it's one of those things that I don't fully believe in for myself, because it is totally something that I've let create into my identity and reality and availability of possibilities for myself, is having long-term lasting relationships that don't have moments and areas of extreme wounding energy. That I think that's something that I want so much that it hurts sometimes. And the reason that it hurts is because I don't believe that it's possible to happen for me. But I want to believe that. And I've talked about this in other videos, guys, about how I do not think that you have to completely believe in things for them to come to pass. I don't. I think sometimes. Ooh, off the table. No, no, no. A little mushy. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I don't believe that you have. I don't believe that you have to believe in everything for good things to happen for you. Sometimes I think hope is enough. Sometimes even the tiniest strand of hope, and some people won't even admit that they have it, but it's still there. And perhaps that is belief, though, because I am putting absolutely intention and power into a type of belief, and it's not the belief that I have to believe in everything being possible, in all of that actually coming true for me, but I believe in the fact that I think that the universe loves us very deeply and wants to surprise us and wants to bless us with those things. Even if we don't believe, even if we're struggling with deep insecurity and wounds, and there's still much that we haven't healed, that we're still worthy of that. That is something that I believe. And perhaps that's enough, you know? Perhaps that's enough. Perhaps I don't need to feel everything. I don't need to feel that I'm in that place, in that relationship. Perhaps all I need is to believe that good things can happen for me. And good things do happen for me, and good things will happen for me. And I don't always like to put my energy towards envisioning those things and feeling those things because there's still so much hurt around all the areas where it just hasn't worked out for me, where I feel like a failure, where I feel so rejected, and I don't always want to feel into those guys. I don't always want to imagine it, like I said, because it hurts. And sometimes perhaps it's good to be in that space to feel that pain and release it. But at the same time, like, I want to believe that I don't have to be perfect to receive those types of things. I don't have to be any version of perfection that other people might say is what is necessary. I also wanted to share that I saw in this very short video that we all manifest differently. And this is something that I totally believe, and it even applies to this man that he financially supported me a couple times, and he gave me some very encouraging words. He's one of my brother's mentors and friends. And he said, everybody has a method, you just gotta figure out yours. And he wasn't necessarily speaking on manifestation, but at the same time, like, yeah, I think that there are other terms that people might use for manifestation, building businesses, creating the life of your dreams. Everybody has their own method, and it's okay if other people's methods don't work for you. You don't need to beat yourself up if they don't. You really don't. You really don't have to beat yourself up if somebody else's methods aren't working for you. You don't need to sit there and put yourself down and think that you are flawed because that didn't work for you. We all have our own methods of creating the life that we want, of manifesting. And I think that my method might seem a little bit strange, but I also realize that the more that I speak on my specific method of manifesting and creating the life of my dreams and healing myself, the more the videos actually pop up on my feed of people that create in that similar type of way. You don't have to create in the same way as other people. You really don't. We're all different. We all have different gifts. Our brains work a different way. I don't think that the universe is that boxy. And I don't know the term for it. I don't think that the universe is always logical. I think that anything is possible. Absolute anything is possible if you believe, and even if you don't believe. Prove them wrong! And it's not just about proving people wrong in your life that don't believe in you or don't appreciate your method of creating. I see this oftentimes in the separation between the older and the younger generations, and I find that so sad because I'm like, you guys could be so helpful for each other if you didn't just sit there hating on each other and hating on this new generation for the way that they do things, the way that they feel, the way that they create, the way that they want the world to be. Oh man, but that's a whole other video. I actually want to make a video on that shit too. The way that you create the life that you want is beautiful. Don't let social media or other people and what they think is the right way of living and doing convince you of otherwise. And I even mean that for people who live in a different lifestyle as me. Perhaps people who are more motivated and much more have a fiery energy. We need that. This is going to go a little bit into the astrological aspect, or also you could just look at it as Earth. We need all the elements. I think that there is a lot of fighting even amongst astrological signs within people because of their differences in creating. And sometimes it rubs people wrong, and I find myself in that as well. And then I reach this point where I'm like, wait a second. You're beautiful and perfect the way that you are, and so am I, so maybe there's nothing wrong with the way that you choose to do things. Maybe there's nothing wrong with what you desire for your life. It doesn't matter if you're an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor or a gypsy or a fucking hobo or a train hopper or a babysitter, a nanny, an electrician, a bartender. Do you love it? You're allowed to love weird things too. You're allowed to love jobs that perhaps other people might not normally love. And you're also allowed to not. You're allowed to want to do something different and weird and strange that people might not always be down for because why would come on. Do you love it? This video has been a little bit all over the place. This is gonna be very interesting. Editing. Ooh, a little mixed with some black. Yeah. My body feels so relaxed right now while I'm painting this stuff, guys. Yeah. Looks like a bunch of tiny geodes. Kinda, not really, I guess. We all grow and create in our own ways, guys. I don't know what's going on with that little triangle in the corner that I did. Whatever, you gotta start somewhere, right? You gotta start somewhere. There are some people that I just randomly miss so bad sometimes. And some people that I just start to miss so much that I don't even, it's like, I feel like, why do you miss them? And not in like a hateful way to that person at all, but more in a way of sometimes I miss people that I barely knew. Like a lot. Does anybody else experience that? Maybe that's my Delulu stuff, or maybe I just, sometimes I think that you just fall in love with people. You just fall in love with people and who you see that they are. And there are just some people that I've just felt such a deep love and connection with that I know that you're not a part of my life anymore, but if you're watching this, I miss you. I don't know if I would ever tell you that to your face, but I hope something really beautiful happens for me soon because I could use it. I could really use it, guys. I think that there are definitely times that I'm afraid that I will never experience certain connections again. I think that just some people who have come into my life have felt so good that I want that again, but a part of me knows that you never experience the same connection that you had with somebody else with somebody new. And perhaps you experience better connections and more beautiful connections. I'm gonna paint over this. Hell yeah, guys. When you don't like something that you've created, you just put something cooler on top. Man. Sometimes I don't even know what my heart is doing to me. But I'll let it. We're adding some weird little guys that look the same. But it's gonna work out. Beautiful things are on the horizon. Absolutely. So, you know what? I'm just gonna believe for all of us that if beautiful things are obviously going to be happening for me because it's bound to get better for me. Even though sometimes I feel like the universe fucking hates my guts. Other times I'm like, wow, the universe loves me so much. I'm just gonna go with the concept of if you're watching this video, there's obviously a similar vibe, and if you've watched it this far, you obviously need to hear this, that good things are about to happen for you, that good things are happening for you, and that the universe is fucking on your side, dude. Not like literally, but I don't know, maybe. Oh, guys, alright, I finished. It's never what I expect to make, to be honest, but it's beautiful still, it's fun and it's creative and it just feels good to do art sometimes. But you guys, that is going to be the end of the video, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. I love you, and I believe in you, and I hope that you have an absolutely amazing and beautiful day.